I'll tell you how life is. I just marveled at it yesterday. My wife and I were talking about it. I was getting stretched over at Stretch Zone. You know how I do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
that's right.
I go to this place called Stretch Zone, get a stretch every Monday, and yesterday was no exception. Go in and stretch.
Can I ask a little bit about the process?
The experience.
Yes.
Yes, certainly. Yes.
Are you engaged with your stretcher, or are you reading your phone?
Oh, I'm engaged. I put the phone down. You really can't because they stretch your arms and stuff. So I put the phone, everything down, and I chat with my stretcher.
Are they like that?
I seem to. I've had multiple stretchers now. They keep passing me off one to the next. Some are saying that I'm the most difficult stretch.
Oh, I thought maybe it was the gas.
All right, let's work on that hammy.
I just assumed. I mean, I'm sorry. I apologize for assuming, but
No,
Let's get those knees up.
You know how I am. It's hard for me. It's hard not to.
Especially with what you've been putting in your gut lately.
What a difficult time. I'm so up and down. You just never know what I'm going to be eating.
Y'all don't.
Sometimes on Mondays I forget. I go in for a stretch. I'm like, man, Nick is my professional stretch artist at the moment.
Okay. So you're engaged.
Yeah. And I always say to him, Nick, I apologize. I had a big breakfast, and this is, jeez.
it's my nerves.
Tough to be my stretch artist.
Yeah, because see, like in a, let's say, for instance, a massage situation, you kind of check out.
Yes.
There's virtually no communication.
Yeah, in this case, we do chat. A lot of times, I don't know. I guess I've got the gift of gab because I'm always going in there like, hey, what'd you do this weekend? And they're like, nothing. What'd you do? And I'm like, nothing. And then then I'll say, boy, what about the football games?
See that game?
Oh, this game was crazy.
I always try, to kind of delve into what the stretch artists' likes and dislikes are. Currently, my stretch artist, Nick, is an NBA guy, so I don't know much about the NBA. But what I can say is things like, man, LeBron, huh?
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And ask who his team is.
Right.
Probably know at least one player off his favorite team.
Not current.
You know who his favorite team is?
Hornets.
Ooh, that's going to hurt you. Now, I'd be all right because I'm a Hornets fan.
Stuff
Yeah,
about
but
the
you
Hornets.
could handle that.
Yeah.
I said there's a ball.
You should go in there and tell him you're Chris Kelly.
Well, you should walk
Stretch
over
me.
it. Yeah. You want to? Let me give you a free stretch. I've got a pass for a free stretch.
Get a free stretch,
You
Biggs.
want a free stretch? Watch the eyes light up when you walk in there, and they're like, "Oh."
If you thought he had gas.
I'm going to lunch.
This is all about
It's
how
9 in the morning. Yeah, that's lunch.
We just opened.
So yesterday I walk in and I see Nick, my professional stretch artist, and he's stretching somebody else. And he said, man, I'm sorry, we are backed up. I got people to stretch left and right here. We're going to give you Bryce today. So Bryce was going to be my stretch artist. And I said, fine, no problem, whatever. Mm-hmm. So I go lay down, and here's this guy, Bryce. And I said, man, did you see those football games this weekend? And he says, I don't watch football. And so I was like, oh, okay. Ooh. I'm at. Then, luckily, and this is the absurdity of life, he says, I'm more of a baseball person, which is great for me because I know baseball. And here it is, the World Series. So I say, well, who do you like in the World Series? He says, well, I'm cheering for the Phillies. And I said, me too. And they canceled the game last night, by the way. It rained in Philadelphia. And I said, well, I am too. I'm cheering for the Phillies. And he said, my dad played for 3 years in the 80s for the Phillies. And I said, the Philadelphia Phillies, because I've been here before,
Stop stretching me.
Okay. Put my leg down.
Turn me over. I want to look in your eyes.
So, but one time when I was in college, a guy came in to change our light fixture. The light was messed up in the room, and he comes in, and a baseball highlight was on ESPN, and he said, oh, yeah, I used to play for the Royals. And I said, the Kansas City Royals. And he was like, no, Topeka Royals.
Minor leaguers.
Minor league. And then he'd say, well, of course, I played for the Pirates. The Pittsburgh Pirates. The Allentown Pirates. It was always minor league. So he never actually made the majors. So I said, Bryce, put down my hamstring. your father played for the Philadelphia Phillies. He said, yeah, but you know, in the 80s, and you probably wouldn't have heard of him. He was 10-year minor leaguer. Then he played 2 to 3 seasons for the Phillies, and mostly a bench player and utility infielder and pinch hit. And I said, what was his name? And he said, I think he said Randy Barrett. And I said, oh, well, I knew a guy that played for the Red Sox named Marty Barrett, who was their second baseman for a long time. And he said, that's my uncle, Marty Barrett.
Well, what do you know?
What? I mean, he was the second baseman on the 86 Red Sox who lost Game 6 in Shea Stadium. I mean, he was on the 86 Red Sox, which is a legendary loss in the World Series, of course. And so I just talked his ear off. I was like, oh, my God. I said, OMG, tell Marty Barrett that Chris Kelly says, hey. And that I was totally commiserating with him in the 1986 World Series.
Is all forgiven now?
Yeah. And well, he didn't do anything wrong. He had a good series, Marty Barrett. It was all about Bill Buckner, you know. And this guy, Bryce, told me, yeah, he still, you know, has bad memories about that 86, of course. I'm sure. 86 World Series. And so I said to him, tell him Chris Kelly says, hey. And then at that point, Bryce turned to Nick and said, you want to finish this guy up here? Because now Nick was free. And so he's like, once they switched legs, went to the groin area.
Beat it, Nick. Bryce is my guy now.
But I said to my wife later, who could have imagined if in 1986, 15-year-old me sitting there watching the World Series, if someone had said, oh, by the way, 36 years from now, that second baseman's nephew is going to stretch you. What would I have said? I mean,
boy, now you have to tip.
Yeah, then it was like a thing where, of course, you have to. It's unbelievable. So, I mean, it's just the little.
So, does your guy play? Did he play ball?
He played minor league. Yeah, he said, you know, he loved baseball. And his dad, Randy, was, you know, coached him, and he played like college ball and minor league, and now is getting a doctorate in sports medicine or something. I don't know, stretching. And so,
so you talk, they don't listen, or you don't listen.
Well, I was just hitting between the eyes with Marty Barrett. I just could not. He goes, I just talked to Marty yesterday, my Uncle Marty yesterday, and I was like, well, you tell him he's got a fan here in Chris Kelly. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, he won't. That's another one. He just wants to talk about the Buckner thing.
Well, yeah, I would certainly want to talk about the Buckner thing. You know that. There's a couple of before we get to the 5 things to look forward to in November, which are plentiful.
Oh, sure.
Things to look. Chris Demm says the first skirmish in the Civil War that is the election.
Yeah, the dress rehearsal
for 2 years.
Some call it Election Day.
Yeah,
I call it Blood in the Streets Part 1.
You think 2 years from now will be the real one?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, but this one is just like a little.
Enjoy it while you can.
Yeah. This is just where the armed militias will intimidate you as you vote.
Right.
But not actually shoot you.
But 2 years from now, boy.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what is scary, to be serious, is that Paul Pelosi beating that he got. That was ridiculous. I mean, and really scary. I mean, that people now are taking it to going into politicians' homes, that the discourse has gotten so out of hand.
I think if you're a politician, you have to have a level of security.
Beefed up security?
Even if you're just a congressman.
Well, she was not there. And I mean, the speaker was in D.C.
Right.
Paul was in San Francisco.
But I mean, just for even your family.
Well, I mean, that's twice now that, I mean, somebody went into her office on January 6th a couple of years ago, and now somebody's gone into her home and beaten up her husband. Her husband was pretty smart. He got on a landline telephone, called 911, and just let it hang there. So, and you could hear him in the background talking, you know, while this guy was hitting him with a hammer. I mean, pretty scary. Really was. And yeah, you know, we just recently in our home beefed up security, as you know, after that landscaping incident that I had.
How's that going?
I'd say well. I think, you know, I haven't been swindled again. I can tell you that.
Hey,
well, that wouldn't have prevented it, but that's great.
Not one bit. Would not have prevented
one. You let them in.
I let them inside the house. I let them to the front yard and inside the house. You're exactly right.
Does each family member know how to operate the system?
Yeah, we all have our specific codes, and we know, and so we know who's coming, who's going, all of those things. Now, has it been an issue at all? No, nothing. Of course, nothing. So it's kind of like having insurance. You know, you have it, big security system.
Hope you don't need it,
but you hope you never need it. Exactly. That's just how it goes. The updates here on things that I thought they were done, but believe it or not, there is something happening on it. It looks like James Corden is out at that restaurant in New York City again.
Good Lord.
It's just total back and forth.
He said continues?
Yeah, I thought this was completely done. But if you don't know the backstory here, James Corden, who is the host of a late night show on CBS and getting ready to move back to England here in the next 2 years, went into a restaurant called Balthazar in New York City, where he goes when he's in New York, according to him, quite often. And his wife has ordered her food, and it was delivered incorrectly. Somehow, some egg white got into her egg yolk salad or whatever she ordered. And he dressed down the waitstaff so badly, and had done it a few times apparently, that the person serving the food was in the corner crying. And the owner said, "You're out and you're never coming back. I don't like the way you treat my waitstaff." Well, Corden apologized, and 24 hours later, Keith McNally, the owner of Balthazar, said, "Okay, you're back in. Come on back in." But then the owner said, "No, his apology was not good enough. I didn't love his apology." And now everybody took sides. Well, I've seen him dress down waitstaff, and then others have said, "Well, he's been in my restaurant a million times and we love him." Well, now the owner of Balthazar says he's out again. His apology didn't ring true after all, so it's over for James
because
Corden.
last week on his show, Corden said, "I apologize, but I'm not really sorry for standing up for what I believe in."
That's
one of those things.
I guess that's what was a non-apology.
Kind of a straddle the line.
He's
apology.
He was basically like, "Look, my wife has food allergies. They messed it up 3 times. What am I supposed to do?"
He said something to the effect of, "Do I need to cook it myself?"
Mm-hmm.
And that really got him going. And so now this Keith McNally, who owns the restaurant, said, "Your apology was a non-apology apology, and I wash my hands of you." That's it. And Corden said, "Well, you're the only one washing his hands in that restaurant," which is not true. I made that up.
Well, now, as Biggie's pointed out, this is the holiday season, and tons of Americans like to travel to New York City to see the lights, to see the shows.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this will drive up business at Balthazar?
I do. Just because now, I mean, I never heard of it.
I wouldn't want to go. I find both of these people equally annoying.
You wouldn't want to go to Balthazar?
No.
Oh, I would.
No, because now the owner's just as annoying as James Corden is.
But if a star like James Corden loves it, and he said he did, wouldn't you think you want to try it out?
No.
You wouldn't go to Balthazar?
No, now it's on principle because the owner is just as annoying.
I bet it drives business up. Anytime you get publicity like that, you'd think it would do that. I don't know, though. My wife and I agreed the next time we're in the city, we'll just dine on pretzels and pizza.
Shake Shack.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like only one of you agreed to that.
Hey, this guy's selling hot dogs on the street.
That's what we'll do. Because we want to feel like a New Yorker, when
Yes.
we go. We like to take in the city as
Like
if,
a local.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely.
Not to the big, nice.
I'm not a tourist.
I'm not going to the touristy places. I've been to Bubba Gump's. I've been to these places.
Yes.
I don't need to go there again. But anyway, that's the latest. And I thought
The world's biggest Olive Garden.
I've been there, and it's great. Of course, it's great. In fact, a guy we know very well just posted. He's in Florence, and I told Chris Demm, best lasagna I ever had was at Florence. I just told him. I just said this was yesterday. I said best lasagna I ever put my mouth on was in Florence, Italy, and then I had to backtrack a little. Wait a minute, tied with Olive Garden.
OG.
The OG. It's a pretty
30-minute wait right
It's
now.
a pretty good.
In fairness, you also had that Olive Garden in Florence, South Carolina.
That's what I did. So Florence v. Florence.
Oh, right. Florence v. Florence.
I said a tremendous lasagna. The other update is the nanny for Olivia Wilde and Jason Sudeikis is speaking out again.
That bitch. She just stirring.
She stirs things up.
Just stirring the cauldron.
I tell you, I believe her.
I do too. I absolutely do.
She sounds genuine.
She does. I agree. She had been working for the couple for 3 years when they went through a nasty split. And she was the one that brought all this up. But as Jason Sudeikis, who plays Ted Lasso, and Olivia Wilde went through a bad split and were going through who's going to get custody of the kids. They were never married. They just were together and had to work out the kids. Well, this is the nanny saying, look, when she started to mess around, she's with Harry Styles now. And she said, look, Jason Sudeikis was absolutely crushed. And she felt for Sudeikis. She seemed to be on Team Sudeikis.
He was reading all of her messages. I walked upstairs and Jason was bawling his heart out. He was just crying really hard and saying, she left us. I'm going to do everything to win her back.
We've all been there, haven't we?
I feel terrible.
Trying to win her back.
Is this an interview or is this like a video one-on-one? I mean, is she like talking to her own camera?
I believe this was an interview on a podcast when someone had her on. She did her first TV interview this week. This was Olivia Wilde did, and the nanny has been on podcasts, and this is an interview that she did, but I'm not sure where. And she says that it was so difficult for Jason Sudeikis because Olivia Wilde admitted she was into Harry Styles.
She said, I kissed Harry at the dinner in Palm Springs. I kissed him. I put the first move on him, and I'm so nervous because he hasn't said anything. At this point, Jason said, you know what? She's just acting so desperate, throwing herself at Harry.
She says this in front of Jason Sudeikis. I know. I mean, I love Ted Lasso, so it's hard for me to be against him in any possible way. There was a Ted Lasso at a Halloween party I went to on Saturday night, and I just kept staring at him.
I'm so sorry. Just go up and hug him.
I felt so bad for him. It wasn't the actual Jason Sudeikis, of course. And then she chronicles the salad dressing incident.
He's walking around with a bat. He had a bat, and he's pulling on his hair, and he was yelling. And she took her salad dressing, her special salad dressing, and she left. He ran after her, and he laid down behind her car so she wouldn't drive off.
We've heard about that before. Her salad dressing, that's a family recipe that she only makes for the people she loves. Mm-hmm. And she made it for Harry Styles. And that was the last straw. That's when Jason Sudeikis said, well, I know it's over now. You made your salad dressing for him,
I know you guys have vested interest in this, but this may be one of the dumber stories of the year.
Oh, my God.
When we look back.
And we will.
It just makes me hold my heart.
Me too. I was just holding my heart. I just was holding my heart.
Ted Lasso style.
Yes. How can this man be expected to put out such a stellar program while his heart is breaking over what's going on with Olivia Wilde, his lover of however many years? And they have 2 kids together. I felt so bad for her. I felt bad for her when she was presented with custody papers while she was on stage promoting a movie. Now it feels like she brought that on herself with that salad dressing trick. That did it. That's what did it for me. This is the thing to look forward to in November. Biggie's just said happy holidays, and
we're in it, baby.
We're in it. We've started the holiday season now. Let's see. What are you interested in? Well, Thanksgiving. All right, we have Thanksgiving coming up. Mm-hmm. That is on the way.
Time change.
24th. We are falling back this Sunday. This Sunday morning at 2 a.m. We fall back. If Congress and the president pass the Sunshine Protection Act, it will be the last time we ever fall back. Although that hasn't been talked about in a while. They had real momentum there, and it passed in one house.
I bet you'll hear it next week after the change.
You think?
Yeah, that'll be a little more traction.
The Senate passed it. The House has not, or vice versa. And then it has to go to the president after that. And I don't know. I guess after the midterm elections, we'll get some.
I don't know which way the winds are blowing.
I don't either. I have no idea. But the Sunshine Protection Act was put forth by Marco Rubio out of Florida. And I thought it was going to be happening, and then it just went away. Mm-hmm. So this could be at least the last time we ever fall back. You got your Black Friday.
Yep.
You have your Cyber Monday. Here's some movies that are coming out. Tell me if you're interested. Weird, the Al Yankovic story, this Friday. You said you are interested.
Yes.
Chris Demm said he was not interested. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
Very much so.
Next Friday.
Yeah, I'd like to see what happens. I mean, obviously, the Black Panther is no longer living. So I don't know what they're going to do.
It'll be tough for that. We have Enchanted, the Enchanted sequel, Disenchanted on Disney Plus, and we have on is it Disney Plus that has the Christmas Story sequel?
Nope, that's HBO Max.
HBO Max has the Christmas Story sequel on November 18th. It's coming. Now I'm going to watch that, and I will report back in. Of course, Chris Demm has said it'll be a huge disappointment.
Of course,
we'll find out. Some season premieres of The Crown. I didn't realize that was coming back so quickly.
Yeah.
That's November 9th. The season 5 premiere of Yellowstone is November 13th.
I cannot wait.
This is your time.
This is my time.
Yeah.
There's so much now, though.
So much.
I'm overwhelmed.
You're paralyzed by choice.
I was yesterday. I am today. I look at that and I'm like, my goodness, how am I going to watch all this good stuff here?
Oh, The White Lotus just premiered.
I just watched it yesterday.
Did you?
It's good, too.
Is it good? I'm going to watch today.
You know, my wife and I, as we sat down to watch it, we said they can never recapture the magic of White Lotus from last year. And they instantly did. All new characters.
Yeah.
Except for one. Jennifer Coolidge came back. But I loved it. I mean, there's so much sexual tension on that show. That's what I'm into.
Well, that was weird.
Well, you answer me. Okay. I'll give you a little something that happened in White Lotus. And my wife and I were talking about, is this weird or is it not? There's 2 couples on vacation together in this gorgeous resort in Italy, like on the, I don't even know, the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
So they're okay. They like it. The two guys were roommates in college, and one of them's wife, they don't really get along. They're just like kind of there along for the ride. There's some tension between them. They're different. You can tell they're just, one couple is like, we don't even watch the news. We're not plugged into anything. The other is very active. You can tell politically and socially. So one has to go back to the room to get some.
Of the women?
One of the women go back to her room to get some sunscreen. The guy, the other, not her husband, but the other husband, his luggage was lost. And he's going to borrow the swim trunks of his friend. So he's like, well, I'm going to come back with you and grab those swim trunks. She says, okay. So they go. She's in the bathroom with the door open looking for the sunscreen. There's a big mirror. And he's out in the living room area and gets completely naked and changes into the swimsuit behind her. Clearly, she can see him in the mirror. I mean, he's naked and shows his buttocks and everything. I said, well, he's putting the moves on her. He wants her to turn around and see him. And my wife agreed that was what was happening. And it was really awkward. But then later, the woman who had, she told her husband, she's like, by the way, he was completely naked. And the husband was like, well, it's not that weird. You were in the bathroom. He was out here. It's not that weird. She said, yeah, but I could see him in the mirror. I mean, it was totally platonic. There's nothing happened. But it was just weird.
But changing your pants is a closed door situation.
Yeah.
In front of a woman who is your friend, who's your friend's wife. I mean, if it's two guys, not quite the same. But still, I would not be shocked and not offended if somebody shut the door. Well, I mean, I think of course, I think you would shut the door.
Mm-hmm.
But now, if it was two guys and you're friends, would it be weird? I think a little.
Yeah, it would.
Some people grow up like that, though.
I mean, depending on your history. If you were in the Marine Corps together,
right,
no big deal.
Totally different.
Because that's a whole different mindset.
When I went to broadcasting camp in 1993, I was at Daytona Beach Community College.
Tons of nudity.
I couldn't believe. Yeah, I'm in broadcasting camp, and one guy in particular. We were like hanging out in his dorm, like four of us, and he just changed clothes right in front of us, and he's completely naked. And I, for one, was like, "This is inappropriate." Nobody said anything, He did it a few times.
This guy's way too naked.
He was naked like a lot, and he would come out of the shower and be like, "What are we doing? Are we going to Hooters or what?" And it was.
Think he's overcompensating?
I don't know what he was doing. I really don't. I don't know why, but
Was he confused sexually?
I don't know. I only knew
possibly.
him. I only knew him for 1 week at Daytona Beach Community College in 1993.
You both got swindled by the Dan Patrick promise.
Exactly. Both of us were had by Dan Patrick. But I don't know why he marched around naked in front of us at least 2 or 3 occasions. Out of the like we would meet in his room, and he was the most popular guy there. He was. Everybody loved him. I don't remember his name. I only knew him.
Staring at weirdos. It's just you have your penis out a lot.
Nothing more than God gave me.
I mean, a lot. An unnatural amount.
It felt like he didn't think anything was odd at all about it. But then there's 4 or 5 guys, and we're just like, and nobody ever said a word. Nobody ever said anything about it.
Yeah, you can't acknowledge the sexual tension.
And then later, I was like, should I be taking my pants off in front of more people? Should I be like,
right?
It's time to change?
Am I the problem?
Right.
Yeah.
He seemed to think. No big deal.
Get over yourselves. It's just a penis.